All right, it is Monday, August 7th, 6:31, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. And if you please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you. I'm just saying on the way in, and it feels like September 15th out there. But we'll move forward here, early August. Before we start though, Sean, I know we wanted to make just a quick change in the order and see if Andy Crossman could go first, and then we'll just have Dave go second. Dave's got several duties, so he was wondering if he could go first. So if I could get a motion to change the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that Brennan? Good. Yep. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the warrants, or I'm sorry, yeah, we do have the warrants next. Sorry about that. Jonathan, are you able to do the general warrant from home? I know you're not feeling well, so I appreciate it.
I can, Brian. I have the general fund warrant dated August 4th, 2023 in the amount of $248,670.54. That includes all of our annual our contributions to non-profits and charities and stuff like that. So that's why that number is a little high. And there's a health insurance on there. I don't have that figure, but that's that one we see, I believe, every quarter. So I make a motion, we approve that warrant.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Could I please get clarification on the amount of that warrant?
The amount, I think, we had two numbers transposed. The number I have on the sheet, and Jonathan, please correct me if it's different on yours, is $248,760.54.
That's what I have, Brian.
Okay, that's
That's
the.
what I got.
Thank you. Jack, you got payroll?
Yep.
3 of them here this time.
3 payrolls, July 21st in the amount of $28,587.17. July 28th for $46,888.67. And August 4th for $33,691.86. And August 4th one has an employee cash in 100 hours of vacation time, so that's why that's a little higher.
Perfect.
Motion, I'll move to approve those.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, excellent. We're on to the other fund. Yeah, warrants, please.
And a quick question. What is the Public Works annual capital account versus the just plain reserve account?
Well, the reserve account was set up for what's going to by president.
Yep.
And the other account was used years ago for rollover money.
Oh,
Because if it doesn't come on part of that statute,
right.
then roll over against that funds.
Got it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Thank you.
Good learning opportunity.
Mhm.
As always, a good answer from Anna. So I have 2 warrants related to the same piece of equipment. We recently purchased a new zero turn for the Parks Department that's regularly $20,000, but we received a discount based on this invoice of $4,400 and then put a top-notch 2-year warranty on it. So the total amount of the mower was $17,833.72, and it's split up over the following 2 warrants. So the first one is from the Department of Public Works annual capital account. It's dated August 7th, 2023, and it is in the amount of $13,819.65. So this is money from last year or years prior that is just rolled over surplus money. And then the balance of $4,014.07 came from the Department of Public Works reserve account, and that's dated August 7th, 2023. I make the motion that we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that takes care of both of those warrants. And for the record, that piece of equipment came from Champlain Valley Equipment, which is proudly located in the town of St. Albans and Franklin Park West. We have a stormwater utility warrant. It's one invoice with a ton of great supporting documents, if anybody ever wanted to look into them. It's from EIV, the consulting engineering firm that's been helping Dave manage the stormwater utility and doing a lot of the day-to-day as we've been down a staff person for a number of months. So that's a stormwater utility warrant dated August 7th, 2023 in the amount of $9,374.37. I'll make a motion that we approve.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, every invoice, it explains the billable hours. We've got a write-up from the president of the company, who's also an environmental engineer, on everything that they've done for us in that billing period. And then there are timesheets and other supporting documents for us to review to make sure that your money's well spent out of the stormwater utility.
Just gonna ask one question, Dave. With a new hire for the stormwater help, is that gonna start decreasing our need for? Thank you. Jen, if you probably couldn't pick him up, Dave's just saying that it should start to decline in our use of EIV, but not off a cliff though. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we just have a small Stonehouse account warrant dated August 7th, 2023. It's just two miscellaneous invoices from Green Mountain Electrical Supply for supplies needed related to the electrical service for the Bay Park. That's $73.31 dated August 7th, 2023, and I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move on to our minutes. Find those here, the last meeting or so. There we go, back here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. The dockets or documents we get before a meeting are sometimes very long, and when I got done reviewing it on the very last page with the nice pictures of the shirts, I had to zoom. Gotta go all the way back up here. First one here is the select board meeting minutes, Monday, July 17th, 2023. Do I have a motion to pass those?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
So I don't know if we can approve those because Jack and I were both out of that meeting. So you need Jeff here to
You
make
may
a
be
quorum.
correct.
So we'll have to hold those till
Okay.
our next meeting.
Table
Jeff,
that till next time. Okay.
Actually, you can approve them if you
We
want.
can.
As long as you've got a quorum, you can approve them.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
That'll-
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
didn't know.
Thank you. All right, excellent. Let's see, I think that is it for minutes, correct? We didn't have any others, no other special meetings. And since it was 3 weeks ago, it feels like it's been a long time since we've been here. Next up on the agenda here is public comment. And I'll just remind everyone, it's really, it's my job to make sure we try to stay at the 3 minutes. And sometimes I love talking with people and hearing. So if people go a little over, that's my fault. What we'll do is, again, just come up 3 minutes on a topic, and then we'll as select board members, we'll try not to interrupt. Sometimes that's hard for us, so that you can finish, and then we can either respond or just take note. So any public comment here? Yep, please. If you would come up and just let us know your name and town of residence. Thank you. Oh, with gifts. Thank you. Thank you. It was on here, right?
Well, I'm gonna keep it very brief, 3 minutes. Hope everybody could hear me. My name is Liliana Chonet. I'm a public affairs specialist with a federal agency, Small Business Administration Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. Here representing, in this presidential declaration, the agency, trying to make sure that everybody understands and the information is delivered correctly. as you well know, after the disaster that happened on July the 7th, County of Franklin did not meet the threshold, so they're not declared as in the primary, county for the declaration. However, SBA recognizes when a contiguous county is affected. So in the presidential declaration, we always take in consideration contiguous counties. And as such, Franklin County could apply. And when I say Franklin County can apply, it's all businesses and all private nonprofit organization could apply in Franklin County up to $2 million in loans with SBA if they could prove that the economic impact was caused by this disaster and not something else. I talked to a few people in the city, so you're probably gonna see a lot of me in the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna ask the board and everybody to support me, to open doors for me, so I could just be in any town hall meeting, in any meetings that there are in the next couple of weeks, so business community could hear about it. I met with the Chamber of Commerce president today, but she was like in a rush, so, we need to like get back to back and just get the business community to understand that this is available for a limited amount of time. And when I say it's about 6 months, so it's still available until, next year. However, a lot of people, when we leave an area and when FEMA leaves and closes the disaster recovery center and we close the business recovery centers that are open in the primary counties, people no longer, find this information, and they're hard for some of them to actually go and apply online. Okay, I prefer to have a one-on-one, presentation by somebody that could, actually explain to me how I could apply, where I can apply, what documents do I need, and, if there is any leeway that would be actually seen by the loan officer. So with that being said, we have, in your booklets, in the first page is a news release that has 3 centers on the first page where we have business recovery centers. These business recovery centers are managed by SBA. These are not FEMA. This is SBA, pure SBA. So business owners could go and have the privacy to have one-on-one conversation with staff that, could just like get in their application in Works. Of course, nonprofit organization, it's a little bit more complicated, for them to apply because there are sometimes more members on the board. One could be a signer. There's a lot of requirements for a nonprofit organization. So I strongly encourage that if you have anything that's open, even if it's a fair in the city or any business meetings that you have, please invite me to those so I could just have a little bit of time to explain to them. I don't have a number. Please don't get my number out. It'll be calling, all the time on the phone. So the 1-800 number 659-2955, it's the customer service number. They could call and they could ask for a paper application. They could also go online at sba.gov, get all this information available. The second page of your booklet, it has a fact sheet. That fact sheet, it's actually what we call it, the small print of everything that is to know about the loans. But to make it very simple, everybody is familiar with the pandemic with the EIDL, right? This is exactly the same thing. Economic injury disaster assistance loan, only that it applies to this particular disaster. So with that being said, I think I did not overpass my over 3 minutes. If you have any questions, please.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is this something, Sean, maybe we can get a link to this or somewhere on our website? And you said you wanted your cell phone number on it? Sorry, just.
I might answer in French.
No, but thank you. I mean, last time after this, in our last meeting, we just heard that, Franklin County wasn't, a disaster area like some of the other counties. So it's nice that for businesses that may have been affected, at least. I assume this doesn't cover residential, but still that's it's better than.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that I missed the Fairfax, county fair. That would have been a good opportunity to just go and speak in front of a lot of, folks that they would want to have questions. But I could have additional flyers so the town manager could, nice meeting you, sir. So it would be nice to have them posted on your social media and any events that you might have with the city, please.
Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate that.
Thank you all.
Sorry. Thank you.
Good night.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to make a public comment? Anyone on Zoom with public comment? I don't know if we have anyone from the public, but. All right, with that said, we will move on to the town manager's report. So I'll turn it over to you, Sean.
Indeed. Given that we put Andy Crossman first, shouldn't be too long. Due to the kind of storming basically the last month, they fell short of volunteer hours because the rain literally washed out, the days where volunteers were scheduled to work. So in order to kind of bridge the gap to finish the project, and also, can't remember the gentleman's name that's doing the, in order for him to basically close the project up, Andy requested about $2,000 to finish the project. So we, if anything, today's just more of an education for you guys. We have the funds that I'll be taking out of our parks checking. So we've got enough to do it. And if you want any questions to ask Andy, feel
I
free.
appreciate it. And if you wouldn't mind coming up, I'd love to hear just a quick, even just a 2-minute update would be wonderful. I know Sean had reached out to me last week after Andy reached out to Sean, and Andy's put a lot of effort into it. We put some town money, and just looking at the number of people who have donated for this is astounding. And so we're right at the end, right? And the storm, I don't know, as a small business loan, maybe we could get, but we're right at the end, and I know we just needed a little bit more to get us over the finish line.
Businesses and organizations, and the town essentially matched that. And so I said that we have it done by July 31st, and here August 7th, probably it's done. But it was a week late, a little bit over what we had expected. We had pretty significant, as you know, the last month and a half, just rain, constant rain, and the conditions were kind of atrocious to build a trail, and trying to get volunteers in the middle of rainstorms, literally 6 trail work days that we had, and we had a few people still show up, so pretty dedicated community. And the trail is done. I put the signs up last night. We've added essentially 20% to our trails in the town forest. They're beautiful trails. They shed the water. They were designed that way. There's 3 bridges, and that was all from donated materials. So that trail is really kind of ready to go. And now we need to talk about how do we want to announce this to the community and maybe have an opening event. I'm thinking in September, when people are back and it's dried out a little bit. So I have some thoughts about that. I've shared with Sean, but we can talk about how we could do that. I think some of the funds in 2000 we could use for that event too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So that's really where we're at. I'm looking to use, one of the things we've learned is when you build trails, you have to also think about maintaining them. A lot of people don't think about it. They think you build it and walk away. Well, actually the maintenance is the bigger effort. So one of the things we're doing is working with the outdoor technology program at the tech center, bringing students up, and they're going to be involved with that and learning skills at the same time. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. Also, the other interesting thing is we have Dave's crew is learning some tree. What do you call that, Dave? How to take down trees with ropes and pulleys, and so they're actually going to be doing some training up there. And I have 2 trees for you that would be prime for that. I'm not touching them because they're like leaning over, pretty high level and stuff. So. Anyway, so we'll be using that, and his crew's been great, by the way, very responsive. We had like part of the driveway washed out. They were up there, they worked with the neighbor, the beekeeper up there, Mike, and so keeping on good terms. I think that's really important. So the neighbors up there.
Yep.
I'm expecting to also do put a trail counter in and actually see how many people are using it. But it's pretty regularly used, mostly hikers and all that. But,
Yeah, I took my dogs there this weekend.
okay, good.
It's a good trail.
There is one, just so you're aware, there's one kind of a logging road that was the access in the old days, I guess, when they were up there clearing out, and it is just a quagmire all the way up. So there really isn't, access for vehicles or anything to get up there. So that might be a future thing to think about, is addressing that. It's not a trail that we use, but I think it was something that would be important for the overall forest to access. Like up to the bird, there's people who go up to the birding area here. Just kind of, we kind of kept that as a separate area and, getting access to it. Yeah, so anyway, we've had a lot of volunteers, probably, 30 different people out there, so.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah, if you could keep us informed of the,
Yeah. I
plans
think
for the
it's
event,
September.
I'd love to-
I'd like to do an event,
Yep.
invite anybody that wants to go up there. I think it could be a real fun event, so.
We
That's
could,
awesome.
if we could turn our attention to marketing what we've built now.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
Mhm.
how do we work with maybe a drone videographer to maybe do drone
Yeah.
videos of each trail?
Yeah.
We could do
Yeah.
we could do quite a bit with videography and photos and
Like David had mentioned, there's a couple actually kind of scenic spots in the fall. You can see Mount Mansfield and, like putting in a picnic table or, having spots where you could go up and
Yeah.
view things.
what,
Sit down and.
you've built a beautiful trail network. It's
Yeah.
been a long time in the making. Let's show off what you built.
Yeah, I think the town, it's a real asset for the town.
If you came to me and said that you had a drone videographer ready for 1,000 or 2,000
Yeah.
bucks or whatever it costs to get it done right, I would really look at, developing those marketing materials, because once you have them, you own them. They're digital files. We can reuse them several times for several years. It's a lot different than maybe paying the same amount of money just for a set of radio ads that'll go for a month and be done forever.
Part of this would also, the 2,000 would go toward, putting it on a map. It's called Trail Forks.
Mhm.
And anybody that's hiking will use that app. And
Have
so,
GPS?
yes,
Oh, awesome. What's it called in?
Trail Forks.
Trail Forks.
It's,
Thank you.
yeah, the only sad part of the town forest now, it used to be how unkept it was, but the only sad part of it now is that not enough people know about it.
Mhm.
So
True, it
Agreed.
is true.
we
Yeah.
just changed that and
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have been doing a great job. You've been cooking with gas for quite a few years now and
I think it's ready to really be launched now, so.
I agree. It's come a long way in the past 6, 7, 8 years.
I think it's I've seen many of the towns, at least in northern Vermont, the other town forests, it's one of the nicest trail networks now in northern Vermont.
And
It is the nicest.
It is, okay.
It's part of the marketing.
You're on the market.
that, and, we gotta give a credit to where credit's due. Andy, you came in, you've taken this over and it's been your baby, but before that it was Mike Kane. And
Yes.
he's
Yeah, great mentor.
he put in a lot of work to our town forest, the 100-acre woods in Fairfax,
Yes.
and several other different public recreation amenities. And we miss Mike, and Mike and I served on the town forest trail committee together for a short while, and the education there, a lot of passion. So thank you for carrying that on.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. No, I don't think so. Any questions, Jonathan?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Al? Yep.
Is there a way that is wise to, ask visitors to give up the contribution to this town?
That's a good idea.
I actually have a QR, we call it Q scan. You
QR
can scan
code.
it and donate to it for the trails at the town forest. It's already up there.
Oh, good, I think.
Awesome. That might be something else maybe on the website. I know
I should promote it though. It's
Yeah, I
not
know the-
far away.
exactly. I know the rec department does that. where you
Okay.
Can donate money for different things. So that'd be a good idea. Stan, something quick?
Doing summer repair work on the road going in.
On the drive coming in from
This is
Forest Drive. you're talking.
Forest Drive, we called it a class 4 road along with Bryce Brook. How many years ago, Al, but it was 4 or 5, and I know each select board can change that class 4 anytime they want.
Well, I was gonna ask that question, but I figured we bring Sean in to let him read up on the different legal opinions we've gotten over the years. We've looked into, do we have a right of way? How many rods is it? What can be done with it? And we've always hit the sticking point of, we don't necessarily exactly have a document in the land records that we can point to, is my understanding, that says this is what your right of way is.
It was what was called a pent road years ago, which means it had a gate. And I recall, I mean, you talk about that wet logging road, that was
Yes.
our first trail when you
Yes.
got done logging, you had them drag some trees up around.
Yes.
and you could clean it up.
There's no winter maintenance done?
No, we don't, but people live,
Yeah.
Right in front of it.
here, they plow it themselves.
I think in a perfect world, we figure out a way to get a 50-foot right of way or a 40-foot right of way and
It'd be better
pave a
than that
road to it.
Well, to keep the park
Yeah.
local, because it is.
Yeah.
You did plow?
Yeah.
All the time? or-
When.
No. My question would be why that's not a town highway.
Just to keep it open.
Are we opening ourselves to a lawsuit from another organization?
Yeah, we'll just look into that and
Yeah.
see
I don't-
where it's at. It's a good question, Stan. I want to make sure we do it right, so. Al, do you have one final thing or? Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Andy. Appreciate it, definitely. And back to Sean.
Alrighty. Next up, we have our DPW Director, Dave Allerton, about a paving update, and also eventually AJ about the roads ordinance.
Go over the paving project first, I guess.
Yeah, just reviewing all the stuff too, Dave. Thank you. We got everything in there, certificate of liability, everything on all the folks who bid. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, I tried to give you everything, so I really don't need to say a whole lot because it was in front of you. But we did go out to bid. We got, I contacted sent the bid out to 4 local paving companies directly. And I only ended up getting the one bid. It also went out in the newspaper and on our website and Facebook page, all that stuff to try and get interest in it. And we only got the one bid. The bid was less than my estimate on it. And I did evaluate the unit price numbers to other area projects around that I could get my hands on. And it seemed like a reasonable bid to me. The price is like $94.10 a ton, which is pretty much average of what I was seeing around here. So I think it's a good bid. I mean, we could always, if you wanted to, we could put it out to bid again for spring work, or we just go ahead and get it done.
Why
So
do you think the others, everyone's so busy that
Uh,
you didn't want to mess with it?
2 of them said they were too busy, and the other one said they had to go down south because of all the flooding and the roads that were destroyed down there. So.
And we also, it's worth noting, we haven't hired a company other than Pike in the 6 years
Yeah,
that I've been
Ben
around.
Pike, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I can remember my first meeting opening paving bids, which seemed like a backwards process at the time. I'm glad we don't do it anymore, but we opened physical bids of every paving company, and there were representatives from different companies in the audience, and it just looked like everyone but Pike was deflated as every bid was opened. It's probably a similar story to our fire trucks at this point.
Would you, Dave, do you want to at least go over what do we got, six different projects for paving?
Yes, and then I want to talk about the contracts, some of the details of the contracts, so everybody will understand that. So yeah, we got a class 2 paving grant to do Jewett Avenue. I think the Pike bid on that was $123,577. And the class 2 paving grant will pay 80% of that, so that'll be wherever that number was, it's like $98,862. So that'll be good for us there. We're also we're gonna stay over in that area. We're gonna do Kellogg Road Extension. And then we're gonna do Pike Drive, because Pike Drive is literally falling apart over there.
Yeah, I agree.
There was a small section of Huntington Street, went over there. We looked at that with Jack. We replaced the culvert over there. We did that recently, and it's, I think, 400 or 500 feet, something like that. We're gonna reclaim that totally and repave that one. Then we're gonna do Lower Newton Road from the V-Trans zone line down to Dunsmore Road. And then we're also gonna do Bluff Lane off of French Hill. So we're kind of spreading it around, but we're doing a lot of work there on the north end because it's really needed.
Needs it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, with the grant, we're gonna have a little over $64,000 left in the paving budget. So once we're done with the project, we can either spend that on another small paving project somewhere, or we can use it to do some crack sealing around town to try and extend the life of some of the roads that we do have that aren't too bad just yet. So I think those would be a good thing. So those are things we're looking at. And then also as part of the contract is the asphalt price adjustment. So you never know, you don't,
Yeah, true.
you pay for asphalt the day you get it essentially, and those prices go up and down all the time. So we'll have to make that adjustment when we get to it.
You probably don't go down that much.
And they probably don't go down that much, that's right. So also in the contract, I built in a 1-year warranty. So we'll keep track of the roads that they're paving, and if something goes wrong with them in that year, then they'll have to come back and fix them from the work that they did. And then I put a contract in date of October 20th in there, so they have to be done by October 20th. If they're not done by then we put in $500 a day liquidated damages. So every day that it's not done after October 20th, they have to pay us $500 until it is done. And if you look at the cost per road mile, I know, in the last several years, it's just been going up and up. I remember recently it was like 125 and it's going up to 135. And then it's between 150 and 175. And what we're getting here is about 181,000 per mile. And we just, there's nothing we can do about that. So that's kind of all I wanted to say about the paving project.
You said, Dave, that was 94 and change a ton. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, $94.10 a ton.
The first paving bid that I helped approve was $64.
Yep.
I mean,
And that was only a few years ago. I remember those numbers too.
that was like
5 years
as
ago.
recent as like 2019. I
Yep.
think we saw numbers like that, and they crept up into the low 70s in 2020.
Yep.
Might have even been cheaper because crude hit the ditch in 2020. But these are strange times.
Yep. So I guess it would be my feeling to just go ahead and let's get this stuff done.
Yep.
Yep, definitely. So
You got,
the-
you got a bunch of prep stuff to do though, right?
We do. In fact, we're in the middle of that. We're done with Huntington. We've been cutting out some of the bad sections on Bluff and down on Lower Newton. We're gonna be fixing those tomorrow. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out, excavate all the bad material, put in good material, recompact it really well. And then we'll put in 4 inches of pavement. And then when they come in, they'll just go right over the top with the shim and overlay of that. Except on Huntington, we're gonna reclaim that. Huntington and Pike, we're gonna reclaim, which means we're gonna dig down 10 to 12 inches and just grind it all up. And then we're gonna regrade the road, recompact everything, and then it'll get 4 inches of new pavement on top of that. And then Pike, I built into the contract that they have to make sure that we have a good transition from the road into any paved driveways. And if there's a gravel driveway we run into, then our guys will haul out the gravel. And we'll make sure we got good transitions to all those driveways. And then we'll do any re-shouldering work that needs to be done.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions from any board members or anyone else? No? Four roads, let's see. October 20th, right?
October 20th, that's right.
Perfect.
I'm gonna be setting up a kickoff meeting with Pike here pretty soon. And we're gonna go through everything that we expect. We'll have somebody out there watching them all the time, whether it's me or some of my road guys. So 100% of the time, to make sure we're getting this much and not this much every mile. That extra half an inch costs a lot of money per mile. So,
Thank you, Dave.
okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, the next item. we have
Mark.
AJ.
So yeah, which is.
Yes, I was gonna
take
start
the
with
reins.
this.
Yeah. You'd
Okay,
like
and if
to
they
go.
were both gonna go, perfect.
Together.
We can do this together. I can kick him off. So
Mhm.
AJ's been reviewing some development projects.
Yep.
And has identified some discrepancies in the language between some of the documents. And it's causing well, there's some things we need to work out and we need to discuss them with you and probably with the DRB at some point. So at that think with that, I'll just pass it over to AJ and she can take it from there.
So I sent you a document that explains some of the problems that we had come across. There seems to be some inconsistencies with the intent of the document, and then I racked my brain about it when I was thinking about a specific subdivision, and then I racked Dave's brain about it a little bit. And between the two of us, we couldn't quite come up with a solution that seemed good, one for the project and two for projects moving forward. So we've suggested some language that I think would be a good solution, but of course, totally up to you. I just want to make sure that we have a very clear, concise document that doesn't leave up to any interpretation from me. I just want to be able to say 100%, point to something on a paper and say, well, this is what it says. This is why it is the way it is.
Okay, I'll be honest, I was away from my phone all afternoon. I know it came in this afternoon, so I didn't have a chance to look at it.
Was this the one you're talking?
Yeah, it's these two, right?
Can we?
In a
we share-
nutshell, what are the discrepancies?
The main thing that we've come across is that the road standards ordinance does not clearly specify that the intent is for private roads to either be held to these same standards or not. And then the other issue is it's not clear about if you are extending a portion of a pre-existing non-compliant road, if that portion has to be held to the greater standards. I gave you the example up on Hillcrest Heights. That's the one that is gonna come up the soonest. So there's, you go up Bellevue Carriage, which is of course very traumatic in itself. And
Yep.
then you go up Hillcrest Heights, and if this subdivision is approved by the DRB, the way that I believe this standard is written is they will have to make the new portion of the roadway A76 and then pave it on top of that. And the developer argues that that's uncharacteristic of the neighborhood. Dave and I went up, we did a little site visit. I think what I would suggest is giving the DRB some flexibility to make decisions. I think any new subdivision, regardless of if it's proposed to be private or not, should meet the standards of this ordinance, but it's those pre-existing ones that I'd like to give the DRB some flexibility to determine.
So that Hillcrest, that's the one that goes off from the right? And goes down over and you see all them houses down below.
Yeah, there's just,
That's
3 or
not a
4
great,
houses right
that's
now.
not a great road.
Bellevue is significantly worse than Hillcrest is.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, that Bellevue was never got a handle, either who
No.
owns it or.
And the other inconsistency is in my bylaws, it says that the select board has to make the determination on any variance granted. And then the road standards ordinance says that the DRB has to make variances. So I'm unclear about if a developer wanted to request a variance, which would be the authority there.
You got a 5 lot subdivision going in on the end of that road?
Yeah,
Are the
4 new
lots
single
going-
family homes and 1 lot that's gonna be used for recreation common.
So are those houses gonna be down toward the interstate?
No, it's gonna be forward for the front of the lot, so it's.
Or back toward the Bellevue Carriage Road?
The Hillcrest Heights right now comes to, like a turnaround, it's like a little round turnaround, so they're proposing to do a spur, an extension off that. And it's gonna be 4 lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then common land up the back,
They're going north or south?
it'll be north. Oh, I have a picture,
Okay.
did you get the picture?
Did I get that picture?
Yep. That was in there, yeah.
I saw a picture in here.
There is a specific date.
Just let me see
It's a
that.
folder.
Oh, I probably,
It's-
I got one here, but I just.
I think the regs say that any new road has to be built to A71 standards, which is the V-Trans standard for roads. That doesn't specify pavement. But our ordinance specifies it has to have pavement. So in this particular instance, you'd be looking at a very horrible Bellevue Carriage Road, going to a dirt road, and then going to this extra road they need to build for them, which we are requiring them to pave currently. which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and that's kind of the pushback.
Well, and then to add to the chaos, the two lots at the end of the proposed road, according to the bylaws, those only have to be B71. So just a gravel compacted, access road, basically.
So B71 is the standard for driveways,
Mhm.
and the A76.
Yeah.
Is the standard for.
What's our lot count that takes it from B71 to A76?
That's a great question.
There's five.
Six.
It's
According
six.
to-
I've always thought it was six. Five and under, you get away with a
Right.
gravel road.
But then it also depends on, and this is where some of the other inconsistencies is, it depends on if you're requesting frontage waivers. If you are, you can have up to 2 lots that are accessed through B71. And then there's our road standards ordinance, which says that any access with 3 or more homes has to become a private road, private named road. So then there's kind of, well, do we interpret now that this is a private named road? Does it become a road? Is it subject to these standards?
Well, I mean, if they come to us and want us to take it,
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I
it's
was
gotta
wondering.
be right.
Correct.
Correct.
We've been through that 100 times.
Well, so if you, okay.
I can't imagine the sense it makes to make the end of that one A76 and the rest of it is never gonna, we're never gonna touch it.
Well, the A76 doesn't include paving. It's
Right.
essentially 15 inches of gravel subbase.
But we want it to.
But we asked for it to be paved, but it doesn't make any sense in this instance.
No, it doesn't.
Unless we're gonna make them go all the way down Bellevue Carriage and make that nice
Yeah.
and paved and clean that out.
Or if we're gonna take it over eventually, we'd rather take over a paved road, I imagine.
Right.
Yeah, we'll never get to that point, I don't think, unless we use a revolving loan fund. That'd be a candidate.
And I don't believe that this developer is under any sort of impression that the town would ever take it over. That's not being suggested at all. And I guess to the point, what we're looking for is any new development moving forward has to meet these standards, but some freedom or flexibility either for you guys or my suggestion, DRB, to be able to make some interpretation on where it's
So is
appropriate.
there a way to draft language that says if you meet a specific criteria, then you have the option to not pave? And just, can we make it black and white and remove interpretation or flexibility? The safest way to keep yourself out of hot water is to have black and white. So if we laid out, if you meet any of the following 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 criteria, then you have the option to not pave, and we put it in black and white and it applies universally, and it's not up to us or the DRB. I would say that would be fair.
I'm worried that you would never meet every single unique situation, and then I would just have to come back to you every single time.
Fair.
Yeah, this is.
It's just tough giving a board flexibility on something
Yeah.
that needs to be applied uniformly throughout the whole town.
And there's only so many pre-existing non-compliant roads moving forward. Every development will meet these standards, but it's gonna be those ones that are kind of lacking. We don't necessarily want to shut down the idea of being able to have infill development at the risk of people saying, well, I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to have to
No, you're
redo
right.
my entire road to meet these standards.
Your logic, I agree with 110%. It's just figuring out all the devils within the details
Agreed.
so that it all works out and we're not, even if, we might make a revision and might have to revisit it. Another weird project might come up. It's the nature of this work, but
You just never know.
I think we're just hoping to open a dialogue, just knowing that there are these issues, and like you said, I don't want to have to interpret. I just want to have some clear standards that I can say yes or no.
This isn't something we need to decide
No.
today, right?
Oh,
Okay, good.
So
I
let's-
wanna
Absolutely not.
So
wanna
this-
go back and read this.
Yeah.
and
So this
get right to it.
writing, and that's what you're suggesting, or
Yeah.
you guys have worked on, decided might kind of help.
It's a potential cure,
Yeah,
just to start the conversation, open to hearing your suggestions.
so what if we had the DRB try to give us comments before our next meeting? If we could, just give them the opportunity to read it. I mean, they're the ones applying a lot of these rules.
Agreed. Yeah.
well, I
And
mean,
then
that might be a little soon for them to think about it.
couple
So
weeks.
my intent is, I'm likely going to send this developer your way because their meeting is coming up on Thursday. And I think you would have the greater authority over the DRB, since one document says you have the authority, the other document says the DRB. I'm gonna leave this one in your hands, whether or not you want to allow them to have an 8, 10, 6, but not pave, they can come and feed it to you. Moving forward, I just want to have clarity on which board.
Do you see any conflicts within the UBDs that could require a bylaw revision or an interim bylaw?
Not an intern. No, I don't think it's that serious.
Okay.
But yeah, there's definitely a couple conflicts, and since we are doing the bylaw modernization right now, it's a good time to input some of what we found. I don't think it's anything so serious that we have to turn around and do it right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when we get through this one, assuming that we will by the first meeting in September, have a solution that we can all agree to, wrap it up and move on. There's a warning process for amending an ordinance, so we'll follow that accordingly. Are there any other ordinances that you find that you interact with a lot as you review applications that might also be inconsistent?
Not yet.
Maybe when we get this one figured out, we should hop right in that and this.
When we, and again, I apologize, I usually get the stuff on Friday and spend too much time over the weekend reading all this. I said I didn't have a chance to see this ahead of time, but are there other projects, depending on if we were to decide one way or the other, that would affect a past project?
There was one recent project where we compared it to the ordinance, but felt like it was clear enough that the ordinance wouldn't apply to them, that we said, they would not have to meet the standards. But it's just, again, those kind of sticky situations moving forward. I'm not working with anyone right now where I think it's gonna be an issue.
Okay.
But when it does come up, I just wanna have, I don't wanna.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, okay.
And in
Okay.
recent history, we've never told anybody in this scenario that they had to pave. We've always gone with common sense. There's no one that'll come out of the woodwork and say, oh, I had to pave 6 years ago and I shouldn't.
Yeah,
have,"
that's,
you know.
that's really the
crux of it.
crux of my question, yeah.
Which doesn't negate the fact that this needs to be rectified for future projects. It's just making sure that we're not gonna aggrieve anybody. Just to see it coming.
We could do like Georgia. They were not taking over any roads ever. That solved it.
I'll leave that up to you. I'll send them all your way.
Maintain them, right?
Any other items then?
I got a question, Brian.
Yep, sorry, Jonathan, please.
So does this hold that development back at all? Like, is there a timeline they gotta meet, any special?
Still approve the subdivision.
Yeah, are they under, like, I just don't wanna stall it too long, that's all, like, if they gotta get something done by a certain time.
Did we put language in their decision letter that says pending amendment to the road standards ordinance, you wouldn't have to pay,
I would probably recommend that the DRB puts a condition on that says, must meet road standards ordinance or go before the select board for a variance and then just reference the document.
and then if that changes and then it comes into compliance without needing a variance by virtue of the document changing, then they don't have to come.
I think it would just allow the process to move forward, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I
the
agree.
goal in my mind is to get this amended so fast that they don't have to come before us for any type of a variance.
Mhm.
I did tell the developer that it was my interpretation that they would have to meet these standards.
Yeah.
But I think they would prefer not to, so.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would prefer they
So
didn't
they're
have
going
to.
into it knowing that it's likely, worst case scenario for them that they will have to meet these.
Well, hopefully they read the minutes of this meeting and read these, this is a public document that can be shared, and this discussion and the opinions that we have as a governing body, and hopefully that eases their concerns. But I don't think that'll end up happening. No
Running out
kidding.
of time to build a road, so maybe a spring project for them.
Or just put the base in, you don't have to pave it immediately regardless. So,
Brian, I got another question.
Sure.
Do you think for this ordinance, we should meet with the DRB and have a meeting?
That's probably a good question. I think that's what Brendan was getting at too, is if they could, I don't know, provide us notes, or if we, I'm not sure the best way to do that, or if we just have a joint meeting with them.
notes will probably, I would think would do it. I mean, what do you think?
What are you hoping for?
Just to have them, they've got a different view of it. We're looking at it from a global, view of the town and the future of taking roads over. They might look at it as more of an applicability of an ordinance within their bylaws and how they interact with one another, which I think is the entire point of this document that you've created, is trying to identify all those pitfalls.
Would you like me to have them review the track changes document that implements the suggestions that we've made and just see if they think it makes sense?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what-
That's all I'm asking.
Exactly. I
for.
would love to hear you with the suggestions you gave. I'd love to just hear their comments on that.
We've got a lot of really well-rounded people that have served a lot of time in the DRB that have seen a lot of
Long
different
time, yeah.
applications. So always best to measure twice and cut once, you know?
I agree. That's why we're here.
All right, when's their next meeting? When is it?
Thursday.
And is this too soon to put this on for them to discuss?
We could send it to them tomorrow and just say, hey, if you guys have
They
any
have to just
thoughts.
review it.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
email us, let us
Yes,
know.
we heard it, then, or even getting get their minutes afterwards, maybe, so.
It's a
before our next
never
meeting.
ending thing, you know, all this filing stuff. Did 4 town plans. We tried to fix stuff from the ones before, and then after it was fixed, and you get to using it, find out something else. Keep that in your mind to fix next time. It just never ends. You'll never get it right.
I think we did that with our UDBs, like literally week 1, we're reading it, we're like, oh man, and, like do your first like little cross out, like next time, let's think about this
Yeah,
revolving document, and that's okay, I just wanna make
yeah,
sure.
well, I
we're
mean,
clear.
it should be, because they can change over time.
Yeah. State rules change everything.
Life of local government.
Well, perfect. If that's it, we'll move forward with that. Hopefully we hear back from DRB and thank you for all your work on this.
I found my map, so you can have this one back.
I'm sure she doesn't have any of them.
All right, Sean, and we're off
Oh, it's in
to
there, I just-
AM Peisch, is that right?
Yep. It's really just for you to make a motion, for me to, for us to proceed with the audit from Peisch CPA and advisors.
Yep. And again, I know we've used AM Peisch at least the last few years that I've been on the board,
Yeah.
so they go through and do their
Recent memory.
their audit and the whole documents here. And I don't know if you had a chance to see it or Sean, but anything substantially different in this than past years? Right, Sam, I mean, look, good, good,
Audit season is favorite season.
very good. Well, I'll just say, any questions
Yeah,
first?
so AM Place has done every comprehensive audit that we've had since I've been on the board. Is that best practice to have one firm do every audit? Or
It's-
should we be putting this out to bid? and-
I've seen like years at a time, contracts that are up to 5 years at a time.
Yeah, how long have we been using AM Place? Mhm. Only ones that even want to touch it?
So, do we have a bad reputation? We can't get more than one bid on the fire truck, we can't get more than one bid
know.
on paving. Yeah, they're pretty thorough.
Yeah.
Oh, they're great.
What's
We know
going
the,
on out there?
The price is pretty good though. Yeah, it's pretty low.
Okay, well, any other questions?
Nope.
Take a motion to,
You have a question?
question?
I'm talking about doing an audit,
Mhm.
Great.
the standard practices do not use, you're on something that do not use the same auditor year after year after year after year. That is bad accounting practice. Change your auditors, and they don't have to vote. That's even better.
Al, when you were in Colchester, how often did you change your auditing firms over 13 years? Not to put you on the spot. At least twice.
Mhm.
So 5. Well, not that, I don't mean to open a can of worms right as we're ready to sign a deal, but yeah, that they would
Yeah.
even bid it back. Yeah, you're not even saying that they would have the labor force available to do this.
Brian, can I say something?
Yep, was that Jen?
Years ago, when Jim Fitzgerald was the town manager, he actually did go out to bid for a new audit company, so to speak. We didn't get any responses.
And that was back in with the Fitzgerald.
Yep,
Time frame?
2009, 2010, 2010, yeah. 9, 8, whatever it was, yeah.
It's usually 5-6 years. with the
Okay.
firm.
Thank
Okay,
you,
So
Jen.
maybe we put that on as maybe an intermissionary year with AM Place next year and try to spend some time searching out different
Yeah.
firms to put on a email list to make sure that they have an opportunity to
Quick
bid.
comment, go ahead.
change auditors every, I think it's every 2 years.
And there are a lot of good auditors that you get. You gotta reach a little further.
Ours work generally well.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get a better audit, and considering changing the manager and bringing the financial officer, forensic is a little more. At least once every 25 years.
Yep.
I'm not calling the AM place into question at all. I don't want that to be portrayed.
Yep.
So they do they do taxes for myself and my business. They're great people to work with. I know. What do you deal with? Probably Chris Goulette and Jason Batt, if I had to guess.
And Chris Warren and Daniel.
Yeah, they're great.
Yep.
They're really good people.
Al, do you have another comment?
Misrepresentation.
Yep.
Of the discussion.
Right,
That has nothing to do.
right. I'm just talking best practice.
Let's, I'm gonna go to Al. No, I think that's it. This isn't AM Place. I think your questions
Right,
are
just
spot on.
making it absolutely
One bit.
clear that,
Yep. I got it. Al, what do you got? Yep.
I can imagine a lot of other municipalities are in the same boat. And it,
Yep.
So,
They discovered they got hundreds of thousands of dollars like their basement, but they never really got.
you know,
That's what the forensics supposed to rate. They didn't even know it was there. It's unreasonable.
I don't know.
Yeah.
we've got,
I'm gonna say no comment on that one.
So we can, I mean, certainly if nothing else, that, I think that's something that we definitely need to do for next year. For this year, I'll do the pleasure of the board if we, the
Yeah,
rest
I'll
of the
make the
board
motion.
wants to make a motion and
Yeah.
accept this offer for this year.
so moved.
Okay,
To authorize you and Sean to sign it on our behalf.
any seconds?
Second.
Second, thank you. Any other discussion then on the motion? Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I think we have 3 ayes. Let's put that down, Sean, Anna, whoever sets that up next year, just, it's a probably good idea, at least every 3rd year to, the very
Like,
least, to put that out.
Be totally clear, we're not talking about anything other than best practices within
Mhm.
But
accounting.
that's
system.
big.
That's all it
That's
is.
all it is, not an
Yep.
indictment of anybody or any firm. There's absolutely nothing other than what is best practice and how do we follow
Yep,
it.
I agree.
That's all it is.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's just to make sure it's the right
Well,
trust.
it's
trust
setting up,
verify.
we have a brief time here in the history of the town. So anything that we can do to put the town on the correct course for its entire future, the lasting impact that we can make and following best
Mhm.
accounting practices, once we implement them, they'll outlive us all.
Mhm.
So
Yep,
that's
I
all.
agree.
That's all.
I agree. All right, Sean, we're on to,
Local
is it local emergency
plan.
management plan?
Yep, this is just simply to put my name as the contact, switch it out with Carrie's and sign
Yep.
that in as a new
So
plan.
moved.
I just want to make one other change in there. I don't know every single person that's listed on this is a very extensive list, but I did notice that the BFA principal doesn't reflect the new principals took over on July 1, Polly Rico. I think it's still the former, I think it's Mr. Mosca, I believe is on here.
Oh, that was 2 principles ago.
Yeah, there we go. BFA St. Albans principal. It's on page 16. It says Chris Mosca. You're right. You're right. That's 2 ago. I think we just need to update that. And then I guess.
I don't think-
City School is having a new principal. It's lists Joan Cavallo. I think
Okay.
Sherry Cavallo. I think she's retired as well. And I don't know the status of Jeff Lyons personally, but. Those are the only ones that I caught that I knew were not correct. I'm sorry.
What about Jeff Lyons?
Is Jeff Lyons still it's just listed as BFA. so
Oh, okay. I don't know if he works there anymore either.
There we go. Yeah, if we could just
Yeah, that's in the
update
plan.
those to whomever it is, but I
Yeah.
think we can still entertain I don't know if we need a motion for this?
Yes,
Okay.
or the emergency, basically this one, the management plan with the different contacts is a separate document.
Okay,
So this is just the.
it's just the contact.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
so again, looking for a motion to update the town manager in St. Albans, and I guess we put the leadership of the different schools in the area to who their current
Yeah.
person is as of July
Anybody
1.
Current,
I'm sorry.
anybody that's not right.
Yeah, anybody.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
At least those
I'm gonna need help with that one, obviously.
with our motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we got a
Yeah.
motion second.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Perfect. So we've got that's it for that right now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then on to the next one.
Yep, this is just the personnel policy updates, everything we talked about,
Mhm.
all the track changes, they've all been switched out with the help and supervision of the law firm that we used.
Perfect.
Get going. So I can make a motion to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, I went through everything, look good to me. The one I was looking through to see is, let's see, it's on section 13, page 7.
Yes.
Where we were this is on the workplace threats
Yeah.
and violence. If you were here last time, we had a question on if you're if you're threatening someone with a town email, obviously that's against the rules. What if you're doing it with your own personal email? Or what if you're threatening at Taylor Park versus the Bay Park? So it adds the language very simple, but it says on or outside the town's property by or against any employees strictly prohibited. So does that mean non-town communication systems like emails?
Yes.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay. That was my only question I had from the changes we made last time. I think we had 10 or 11 different things that we looked at, which were in the notes. So that's all I had. You want to have any questions? Or?
No, motion we approve.
Okay, motion to approve on the table.
And that's
Do I get a
also, I guess,
second?
technically what we separated on here. But the personnel policy assumes the grievance and the vehicle.
Oh, that's included in it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
So-
it's separate documents, but it says in here,
They need to
Yeah,
be
see.
approved
So
together.
let's finalize vehicle policy.
Okay, yeah, let's go down and look at that.
Table.
We had the grievance policy, which last time I think we kind of indirectly went over that.
That was provided by the attorney who reviewed the personnel
Mhm.
policy.
Yeah, that seemed to kind of verify the steps I think that we were already taking in these cases.
Yeah.
Again, step one, should we go through it, Sean?
I don't
Just in a
think-
nutshell,
it's pretty straightforward. Actually, the only thing, and I think it says it in a roundabout way, but we should probably be a little clear about is the person filing the grievance,
Mhm.
citizen, also has the right to bring their own attorney.
Yep.
Says obviously the town and everybody does, but it doesn't touch upon, I talked to Al about this today.
Mhm.
I think it touches upon it in the last sentence, but just to be clear about it, and also just even
Yeah,
if
that's
he was
perfect.
also the citizen. can bring
You
up
just-
his own.
in a very small nutshell here, step one, if there's a grievance, it's filed with their supervisor first. If
Yeah.
they want to appeal it or move it forward, they can go to the town manager, which is step 2. And then step 3 is appealing to the select board. The select board meeting can be held in public or in an executive session at the person's request. Is that like, did I capture that correctly, Sean?
Mhm.
Okay. So are we good on the grievance policy? You gotta look at the vehicle policy? Because I think there were a few questions in there that we need to
Vehicle.
input in there, right?
See
There's
them.
two spots with numbers and years of a clean driving record. So vehicle policy, I looked at that. There's just 2 things I think that we need to enter in. So this is to qualify for a company vehicle. It's essentially that the employee may qualify for a company vehicle if they drive X amount of miles or more per year for work purposes. So we need to come up with what that number is. And then the second part is to be eligible for a company vehicle. The employees must complete a form, submit a copy of their driver's license. They're only allowed to drive a company car if they have a valid driver's license and a clean driving record for at least X number of years. It says a clean driving record. It defines what that is, where it's accident, where it's not they can't be at fault for an accident. Or arrested for charges of violating vehicle and traffic laws. So I think those are the only 2 things we need to look at on that, Sean. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
What are the industry standards?
That was gonna be
Yeah,
first
that's-
question.
That's really the question. I'm not even. Jen, did you see any of that when you were looking around?
I did not.
Okay.
I think it's
What
dealer's
are-
choice.
Yeah, how many miles does an employee have to be driving each year for town business for them to qualify for a company? or
I'm not even sure that
town
I would
car?
phrase it that way, actually, now that I'm rereading it. Because it's really just a matter of, okay, if something comes up, then you have to use the vehicle. You
Mhm.
know, it's not like people are gonna be driving it back and forth.
What do you think the mile now?
Last I knew it was like 50 something, but it was probably higher. Yeah, yeah.
60.
The government pays 70.
Is that federal?
Which is a
My
separate
only other
policy.
question would be, it sounds like we're gonna have to do a little research and come back to
Yeah.
that part.
Mhm.
My other question is a two-parter. With whatever we come up with for a proposal to put in for those two, then the number of miles and then, that's really the only thing that applies here in this question, but in enacting this policy, are we granting someone rights to
does-
company
Thought
vehicles?
about that too. It does say employees may qualify for a company. So just if someone says we make it 100 miles and someone drives 101 because they had one long trip somewhere, then they wouldn't guarantee them a car to use.
You don't have a car, right?
Yeah, we
No,
don't have one.
just-
That's why I
right.
just don't wanna create the need to go buy a vehicle, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Consider it full vehicle.
A what vehicle?
Full vehicle.
I think I know we've discussed that for cases where it's come up where people have had to go out. and
Some of them need to go to hot failure.
Oh, okay. I
And some
got
of them
you.
need to go to work on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
exactly.
You know, once
Yep.
or Twice a month, but that's not.
Or
Mhm.
put them in a,
Give them better lunch and the 66 cents a mile, but if, maybe it's how many miles a vehicle, a private vehicle is driven on company business. Would make the determination as to whether it's even worthwhile.
That's
Oh,
what,
I think that's exactly what we're,
that's what.
yeah,
that's
I
the
think that's what
question.
we're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, that's what. it
I mean,
is.
'cause it's usually measured, right? Not miles from your house, but miles from town hall,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, maybe we can just do a little bit more research on that. Now, can we still pass the
Still be
personnel
able to-
policy without, adding those numbers in yet?
Vehicle, yeah, technically, the previous personnel policy actually had something in there about a vehicle policy that we didn't have, so. You can't accept it. We'll have to put I guess, remove the vehicle policy from it in the meantime, until
So
we
we're,
adopt.
Brian,
Can you get it on there?
Yeah,
so we,
Yeah,
so we're
we can
saying,
do that,
Yeah, let's do it
we
right.
just wanna table it for now then?
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
just do it
Table
all
it.
in one fell swoop.
You got a question in the back,
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah.
David, question?
Is there anything in policy that deals with where a person would be given town vehicle and restriction on person?
I believe that's in here. Should we check that and see?
We don't really have a fleet that we run into that.
Do we need to rescind that motion to approve the
not-
personnel policy?
Do not allow unauthorized drivers to use a company vehicle. There's a long list of, do not drive while intoxicated, do
Yeah.
not smoke in any company vehicle, do not lease, sell, or lend a company vehicle.
Okay, so let's,
We'll just make sure that
Table
that's clear in there. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not for personal use, definitely. Quick Paul, yep.
The other thing, before you give somebody a personal vehicle, somebody that really, it's a long time. Is the tax liability for having a vehicle that you drive in place anywhere you want. That's occurred. And if you claim his income.
Mhm.
So if you drive a vehicle 3 miles to work and 3 miles back home, that's 6 miles a day. If you come home for lunch, that's 12 miles a day.
Yeah, I don't think that's the
Yeah,
direction.
I
that
think
we're
the idea
going
is, and
at.
correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah,
the idea here is there's a town of St. Albans car parked
Yeah.
at DPW or at town hall. If people need it for business, town business, they're going up to check zoning,
Yeah.
permitting. They would drive that car up there and back. It wouldn't be assigned to one person. We're talking about a company
Yeah.
car that they would be able to.
we just need to figure out if, we can look in our expense reports and see how much we're paying for mileage across different administrative departments, because obviously this wouldn't apply to public works or fire. So we can add that up and, if we haven't done that yet, if the number seems to be low, for whatever reason, then this is a moot point. And we should just move on and continue to pay mileage as we always have. So
Yep.
there's a few different things. I have some notes on how to pick that apart. You know, in my own mind, I didn't realize, I didn't factor in the fact that it was linked into the personnel policy.
Yeah, and I think having this again doesn't mean anyone, all of a sudden, we need to purchase 6 cars.
Well, that's
Just-
it.
I
so.
think that the bigger one to me isn't the number of miles so much, but it's do they need 5 years of a clean driving record
Right.
before they're allowed to use the town car? I mean, I think that's probably the more pertinent one. If we have a car here available for people to go check permits and come back.
And, you know, Sean's got a meeting in Montpelier,
Yeah.
you know, AJ's gotta go to a VLCT training on road ordinances,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
whatever
I'm
it
going
is.
to conference.
Well, that too, you know,
It's also a professional appearance for the town, you know, having if we get there eventually, which
Yeah, and
which
we-
is no small thing. It's-
Yeah, we had talked about that, having a car with the town logo on it so that it just seems more official when folks are showing up. Again, I think we just wanted this
It
in
needs
here
to make-
as
the math
if
needs
we're
to
gonna
make
do it,
sense.
we'll have some rules in place. But again, this wasn't intended.
the math will make
This
sense.
isn't intended to all of a sudden qualify 5 people for a car
Yeah,
tomorrow. That's
right.
It could.
The math needs to make sense on paper as far as the cost goes. It needs to be very clear that this would either cost the same or save taxpayer dollars. If it costs more than what we would pay out in mileage, I wouldn't recommend that we purchase one.
Yep, I agree.
So we'll get through all those questions. So do we make a decision that we wanted to table all 3 of these documents? for
Sounds
now?
like we
Yeah.
have to, Sean. We
Yeah,
can't.
it'd be the cleanest way.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we don't have to
again,
re-amend it.
and I know originally when we got the personnel policy, it was suggested by the attorney that we have probably
Separate.
consider a separate vehicle
Yeah.
policy like this. So I know that's kind of why this is here again, not because we're signing out cars here all of a sudden. All right, so I guess we'll have to table it till next time. That sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't think we,
No, you don't need that.
If there is,
oh,
one-
do
Unless
we
you
have a
did-
motion?
Unless you already started one.
no, I
You
rescind,
have to rescind it.
I rescind.
Yeah.
Okay. Rescission. Okay.
I third it.
Percent, yeah, whatever the word is. All right, Sean, we'll go to. What else did you have next here? I think we just had, that was it, right?
Yes.
'Cause, okay. Excellent. So next up, we've got just to schedule the next select board meeting. Monday, August 21st, and then Wednesday, September 6th, both at 6:30 here at Town Hall. Again, moving the September 6th one to Wednesday because Monday is Labor Day. Anything else? Well, actually,
Here's report.
Sean, you had included, or somebody included at the very bottom, but it's not on the agenda here, just. So I guess it'll be technically the chair's report here, I guess, but the total eclipse 2024, looks like we have some. Updates on that. Do you want to share that or do you want me to?
I can go ahead and do that one. Megan was on here, but she
Okay.
knocked off, so I don't.
Oh, okay, perfect. Because we did get a document again, just updating us on, April 8th, 2024. See notes here, Bob Cross has already started attending meetings with other regional safety forces, so city, town, Franklin County sheriffs, Vermont State Police to start creating an emergency management plan. The town of St. Albans Recreation Committee has started the conversation for ideas for an event in the town. So again, taking discussions we've had in the select board over the last few months and the recreation committee's taking off with that. Food trucks, t-shirts, which I'll describe in a second. Ordering glasses with our logo. And that's something that Carrie and I talked about a few months back. Renaming the town to Sun Albans for the day. So interesting. And the slogan, I was in the dark at St. Albans Bay Park, which is kind of what a lot of the shirts, so there's 8 or so different variations of that.
That's pretty.
There's a new page on our website dedicated to all information regarding the eclipse, explaining how an total eclipse works and what you'll see, information about safety of your eyes, location of the eclipse. We'll travel, an eclipse simulator, and link to eclipse2024.com. What's the status of the shirts? Is it something we're
Yeah, she's
just
talking
kind of
to me.
throwing out there?
Yeah, they're we're going through logos, our Mega's going through
Mhm.
logos and stuff. We've seen quite a few renditions, being pretty creative.
Why are we doing?
Simple but creative.
Well, if we can have a bunch of people come down and check out St.
Oh,
Albans who might
yeah.
not
With the chance
otherwise be
It'd
here.
be a t-shirt fundraiser, right?
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
could, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to turn the number on it and put the balance
Yeah.
in the Stonehouse account or something.
Yep, Al?
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's.
We
yeah,
can't be
definitely.
spending staff time on something that doesn't have a projected payoff.
And
And we
there's some of
gotta,
the estimates,
Mhm.
people that could, the influx of people here could be potentially pretty massive,
well,
so.
that's it, yeah.
If we had some pretty cool shirts or something, I mean, there's a little basis, I guess that's the marketing for one, because I don't really see a whole. That we've done, but, it's not really to make a ton of money, but it, I think it's an opportunity that we can
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
capitalize on. The city's doing the same thing, they've got a bunch of glasses.
So I had a question under schedule,
Sure. Question
back
on the
to-
schedule?
and it ties into stormwater, but we had talked about scheduling a special meeting at some point with
Yeah,
Dave.
Oh, yeah. That's
We have
what
an
it is.
update on
August
that?
14th, yes, thank you.
And I know that the state originally reached out and was trying to maybe come today, but we wanted to make sure it had its due focus.
Yeah.
Monday on the 14th.
What time?
We can set at 5:30. Us, they're traveling, yeah.
So you wanna do like,
5:30.
you wanna try to do like 3 or 4?
Whoa, I can't,
Let's
do
do,
Or
yeah, let's say 5 or 6.
Go and get my license.
5 or 6?
Or 3 or 4, it's, I'm not
I
gonna.
would be on board with
That's
that.
fine. No, we need.
We could do a
to get-
morning one. If you really wanted to.
I'll do in the morning.
No,
Here's your answer.
not that it's too, I've taken enough time off from work with all different stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta be at work on Monday.
Oh, they're traveling, so we could do 5:30. I would suggest that.
Okay, I'm good
But
with that.
it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, we've done most of our special meetings, or a lot of them are at 5:30.
Yeah.
We
And
could probably
where
do
are
that.
we? So I had a few people, more than a few, come up and ask, where are you with Tanglewood? Just like that. And one of the gentlemen that asked me that lives on Potter Ave at the end.
Mhm.
And he said that there are a collection of people on the east side of Potter Avenue that have septic systems in their backyard because they're not hooked up to city sewer. And that their septics are failing or otherwise poorly performing because of all of the water that has been dumped on them by the Sash and Tanglewood. So it's not just Meadowbrook, and it's definitely not just Tanglewood's water. Dave has some videos that he showed me in his office of water pouring off the Sash from 104 all the way down that corridor, and it diverts through Tanglewood, out the back of Tanglewood and into these residential neighborhoods, and it is atrocious. It is not just, and I don't want to continue to mischaracterize this as a local issue to one particular neighborhood or maybe a secondary neighborhood. It is a problem for that whole area of the town. We are working in Clyde Allen Drive is a neighboring community a neighboring neighborhood that we're working in. We're working with the city, the school district, and the state to do another project that would intercept water through Bryce Brook. I heard, and again, it's unsubstantiated. I'm not an engineer and I haven't been alive long enough to know firsthand. I heard that when Grice Brook was built, the cornfield had quite a bit of fill placed in it, and that now there's a lot of water that used to otherwise be trapped in the field that flows down the Sash and otherwise through these neighborhoods. So my big questions are for this upcoming meeting Monday, maybe Dave could give us a preface before the state gets involved and we grill them, or maybe after. Where are we with Tanglewood? Where are we at with the 400 something thousand that we have coming from the state? Can we get Tanglewood built this year if we can figure out a way to pay for it? That's fair. Recognizing the fact that we have all the state money and a lot of this water that flows through Tanglewood, we have direct evidence observed and videoed by Dave that shows that a lot of this water we're talking about capturing doesn't come from just these residential neighborhoods. It is a lot bigger of a problem than we've been made to believe over the last few years. If you haven't seen the videos, it's not one of those things I would put on Facebook. It's kind of a depressing thing to watch, but go see Dave.
Mhm.
It is an eye opener. I had no idea that that much water was going through that neighborhood and absolutely destroying properties in the process. Certain properties, and now it's negatively affecting, all the way down to Potter, like.
Yeah, well, I think we'll obviously hit that Monday, and I think the crux of it isn't just if it needs to be done, we know it does, we got to figure out.
Well, if we've got all the state
that
money, I mean,
fairly and equitably do
we
it.
can kick cans all over the place and come up with reasons not to do something, especially when
I
it
think
costs
it's,
this
how are we
much.
gonna, because again, there's 11 projects or so, and so we want to be fair and equitable.
Did anybody else call us saying, a lot of people had flooded basements. That's what happens when you get 6 inches of rain in 2 days, that, or however much we got. But I didn't have any other neighborhood of town call and say, oh, I live on this road and my septics are failing and so are my neighbors. And I didn't have another guy call and say, my backyard is totally underwater because this retention pond's failed and nobody's done anything with it. And then to see the videos of all of this water coming, it's not just runoff off of rooftops and driveways within a neighborhood that needs to be captured. If that were the case, what they have for infrastructure would probably work. If it was maintained properly. It's the fact that all of this water comes off of state highways and, agricultural land that, maybe has been filled over the years to drain better. The water obviously gets daylighted somewhere and it's going to this neighborhood.
Yeah, well, let's do that let's bring it back for Monday.
But the houses are there. I get
Get
that
the
it
information
was
and-
always the case, but
Decide how to move forward.
Because in there are no houses.
True.
well, now there are, and we got to deal with it.
And then, and not.
It's only flooding if it affects somebody.
And
Basically.
the other thing is, no water once every 100 years either, this guy lost in 11 years,
Right.
12 years.
I mean, it's,
Well, let's cut it there. I mean, definitely, that's why we want to have a special meeting for it so that we can,
and
you
if
know,
there are
really
anybody, I
take
can
look
think of
at
a
it with
couple
all-
names,
all pieces.
but if anybody's reached out specifically about that project or another project, or if there are HOA leaders that we're interacting with for future projects that are in the works, maybe we invite them just to sit in the audience and listen to this discussion.
Listen,
I've already
There-
talked to one of them.
Their input is important. I mean, these are folks that pay taxes the same as we all do. And this is a public problem at this point.
yeah. Well, let's, I do want to move on. I think Josh is listening from the messenger. He does a good job sometimes of getting those articles out ahead of time to let people know we're going to talk
Oh, yeah.
about it on Monday. So hope maybe that's something, Josh has got a
August
few extra
14th at
minutes here to
5:30.
help get that out.
Put out notes.
The Warren, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I might
We're ready to
be-
do that, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, I guess we'll move on, and we've got some things we got to take care of in executive session, so hopefully we'll see everyone Monday. I'll make a motion.
Enter executive?
Yes, please.
Okay. I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a contractual matter where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town at a substantial disadvantage. I further move to enter executive session to discuss a contractual matter under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of Vermont statutes, and to invite in the town manager, Sean Atkins, and the interim director of operations, Al Vogel.
Any seconds?
Second,
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Thank you, Joe.
Recording stopped.